Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Thursday, July 7th, 2022. Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from the Mayflower Hotel here in Washington, D.C. with the National Bar Association. We'll hold a dinner honoring Attorney Fred Gray, one of the 17 recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Coming up on the Black Star Network, we'll show you what took place at the White House today, where those honorees were given the nation's highest honor. But Denzel Washington, one of the honorees, was not there. We'll tell you why. Also, Brittney Griner has pleaded guilty in a Russian courtroom. She said it was not her intent to bring drugs into Russia. We'll explain to you what that means with legal expert Candace Kelly. Also on today's show, protests continue in Akron after a black man was shot at 90 times by police, 60 of those shots hitting him and killing him. Also on today's show, we'll also tell you what happened with Derek Chauvin, how he's going to spend more time in prison for the death of George Floyd. It is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Hey, folks, today in a Russian court, WNBA star Brittney Griner pled guilty to drug charges. She was led into court in handcuffs, and during her trial today, her attorneys entered that guilty plea. She made it clear that she did not intend to bring drugs into the country. She told the judge she wanted to take responsibility for her actions. Afterwards, her attorney spoke to the media.
And did Brittney say what made her take this decision today? Do you have any explanation for why she decided?
She's a responsible person, and she admitted that it was hers, but she said that it was unintentionally brought to Russia because she was in a hurry as she was packing, and it was just by accident it ended up in her luggage.
Considering her personality and that she is a role model to many people, to many young people, I think she should be responsible for her actions.
The prosecution was reading the medical certificates, and what did the medical certificate say? That no drugs were found in her urine and her blood. Am I right?
Well, they were reading just all the evidence that they have on the files.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Can you give us the full answer?
Well, I think we will probably comment on this during the next court session when we will be presenting our evidence.
But right now, nothing was found in her test examples.
She was clean and she was tested, right?
And what is she going, what will be the next hearing?
The defense will start to present their evidences and their witnesses.
Why give a guilty plea impartial today? She'll give fuller testimony to later. So why announce it today? What's the point of that?
Because the prosecution ended their part, and it was the start of the part of the defense. And later during the trial, she will have the possibility to explain herself more thoroughly.
And also mitigating factors? I mean, is that the idea? To explain mitigating factors for why?
Of course.
Yes.
Griners will be back in court in July 14th. Joining us right now is legal analyst Candace Kelly. Candace, glad to have you here. Here is the speculation, Candace, that she needed to plead guilty in order for there to be a prisoner swap that previously happened with another American who was being held there by Russia.
And Roland, you're exactly right. She needed to plead guilty because when we come to the table and you want to make some concessions and even be in a position of negotiating power and have that leverage, you have to say, I give a little bit of this and you give me a little bit of that. She had to plead guilty to go through the system, to go through the court system. I won't say the justice system because, as we know, the Russian court system, when you go to court in Russia, in the court that she's in, it's expected that she's going to be convicted. There's no question about justice. It's just a question about how long will she be sentenced. So all of these wills had to go into motion where she had to plead guilty. And I think behind the scenes, her wife, the people who are supporting her the most, they have had it with the Biden administration. They have had it with the lack of negotiation. They've had it with the fact that Biden waited all the way till yesterday after Brittney Griner allegedly to say, listen, I'm terrified. Don't forget about me. On this July 4th, my father, he served in the Vietnam War. Her wife, Cheryl, is tired of it. So they went behind the scenes and they came up with their own strategy. And this was part of the negotiation. Plead guilty, and we're going to do it our own way because the Biden administration has not satisfied us enough. And that's where we are right now, Roland.
But let's be honest here. The Biden administration didn't have many options here. There's a war going on between Ukraine and the Russians. The Americans are supporting Ukraine in a significant way. This also is a huge political tool for Vladimir Putin to hold against the United States. So really, what options did the American government actually have?
Well, listen, the fact that they were negotiating behind the scenes and it seemed like they were telling Brittney Griner's people, listen, just hold back for a moment. We're doing what we can do. Well, here we are 7 months later. They're asking, what have you done? You haven't even given us a call. A call would be good so that when Brittney gives me a letter in the mail because I haven't spoken to her on the phone, I can tell her, hey, listen, the Biden administration reached out to me. At least that's a start. That's a beginning, giving Brittney a little hope, a little faith that she's got America behind her. And when you're over there in Russia by yourself in that particular legal system, that actually does mean a lot to know that at least some wheels are turning and that everybody's working on one accord. So they didn't have many options in terms of this is what we can do because we know that you're a political ploy, but at least have a little support. And that's what her wife and the Brittney Griner team have been saying. Can you support us? Can you give us a call? And there are plenty of families who are now coming forth and saying, hey, now that you've got your call, Cheryl Griner, we need a call too. So it's not just about Brittney Griner. There's a larger picture, as you said, in terms of exchanging political prisoners that have been exchanged before. Now we're looking at a situation as to who do we actually exchange? And that's where the Biden administration is right now, albeit behind closed doors. But my guess is that something is going on in terms of that exchange, at least trying to happen. They just can't show their cards right now, Roland.
But historically, I mean, here's one of the things. I mean, I think back to Syria, when the Reagan administration couldn't do anything with that government, and it was Rev Jesse Jackson Sr., Minister Louis Farrakhan, Rev Jeremiah Wright, and others who traveled over there and brought back Captain Gutman. When I think about same thing in Iraq, when Reverend Jackson went and rescued, brought back American citizens dealing with Saddam Hussein. The U.S. government couldn't get anywhere with Saddam. Reverend Jackson was able to do so, and of course, with the encouragement of Muhammad Ali. When I think about soldiers, I think it was in Yugoslavia, if I'm correct, where Reverend Jackson brought them back. And so this is one of those things where, again, a figure like Reverend Jackson was where we needed someone like that. Unfortunately, he's been impacted in a severe way by Parkinson's, but having a third-party religious delegation sort of lead those negotiations, that's typically what has happened in the past because the government was hamstrung because of another government didn't want to deal with the United States.
And Roland, where are they? Where are those people who are coming to the forefront to say yay or nay that we support, and this is what we need to do?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of black leaders, frankly, who had the stature of Reverend Jackson to be able to go do that.
True. But it's interesting that you mentioned stature because when we talk about Brittney Griner, she's a rock star over there. People know her name over here, but we just have not seen kind of this continuous support and media blitz and information about her, for all these months that we would see. LeBron James wouldn't have been over there that long. Let's be real. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a black.
First of all, let's be clear. LeBron James would not have to play over there for money.
That's right.
Unfortunately, the WNBA does not pay as much, and that's one of the reasons why Brittney Griner and other WNBA stars play overseas because they can't make the same amount of money. And people watching need to understand some of these female players are making $250,000, $500,000 or more playing overseas, money they simply will never see in the United States.
Right. And it brings up a lot of questions about equity, and not only the equity in terms of payment, but now that she's in this country where she was forced to play because she could get more money, how are they treating black gay women over there? Roland, how are they treating black gay women over here? We know that in Russia, they do not accept gays on a whole. By and large, they want them exiled. You can't even have propaganda kind of be pandered, as they say, to young people because they think it might corrupt and you can get criminally in charge. So you've got all of these factors going on, and in the middle of this, she's this political pawn somehow when she was carrying hashish, which has nothing to do with politics. Now, I think that is really interesting in terms of what her guilty plea was. She said, yes, I plead guilty, but it wasn't my intent. Roland, that's two different things. She's saying guilty in order to appease the Russians so that she can move the needle in that regard.
Yep.
But in order to be guilty, you have to have the intent. On the other hand, she said, well, it wasn't my intent. I think it's very interesting that on the first day where she appeared in court, she wore a Jimi Hendrix t-shirt. Jimi Hendrix was someone who was tried. He was not convicted across state lines in Canada for having weed. He said, hey, listen, I had so many fans around me, giving me stuff, giving me gifts. Somehow it got in my bag. Wasn't his intent to do it. So I think that that was good that she said, hey, it wasn't my intent because you need that. But it really does contradict her guilty verdict because the two have to coexist. But that guilty verdict, the fact that she said it, satisfied the Russians. And in her mind, in Cheryl's mind, and all the people who came to the rally for her yesterday, in their minds, they hope that this will at least push the needle and give her a little leverage to kind of move this forward. At this point, they've said, hey, listen, we're looking to detain you for about 6 more months. One, that's because of the legal system. They don't have day-by-day, back-to-back court systems. This is not tried in front of a jury. This is tried in front of one judge. They meet once a week. 2.5-hour drive for her. Her 6'8" self in very small, confined conditions has to go back and forth. And when she gets there, they're not going to be any Perry Mason moments. The judge just reads information into a file. So that's why we're not talking about justice here. We really are just talking about what's the conviction. And she's hoping that what she's doing, what her wife's doing, what everybody's doing can kind of beat that conviction and get her over here before it even gets to that stage.
Let's talk about the Derek Chauvin case. Today, he pled guilty and was sentenced to 20 years and 5 months for federal hate crimes violations in the death of George Floyd. He previously had been sentenced to 22.5 years in state prison. Explain what that means. Is this more jail time? Also, there was talk that he may be serving this not in state prison, but in federal prison. So what actually happened today in the Minneapolis courtroom?
Well, what we had, as you said, that more years were put on. It depends upon how the system will look at it. He can either do it alongside of what happens, or sometimes they are built back to back in terms of the sentencing and the time that he serves. What we do know is that, once again, at least the courts are looking at this in a very serious way, where they're saying this is something that you need to have accountability for. Once again, this is a precedent-making case. And so that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at Derek Chauvin and more responsibility that is going to be left on his plate. And so that's essentially what it means. We do not know yet how this is going to play out. It depends upon what the powers that be normally in this situation want it to play out, in terms of if it's going to go back to back or if it's going to go coincide with the time that he is already serving.
Now, he did have to admit a number of different things, and this is what the Washington Post wrote. For the first time, the former officer admitted that he kept his knees on Floyd's neck and body, even as he heard the man saying he couldn't breathe and ultimately became unresponsive. He acknowledged he heard bystanders urging him to check Floyd's pulse, but did nothing and blocked others from rendering medical aid. Chauvin also said that he, quote, knew what he was doing was wrong. Now, that was when he pled guilty in December. He did not offer any sort of apology today. So that is also significant, because the family, they wanted him to admit what he did was wrong.
Right. This is someone who we didn't hear take the stands. Unlike other cases where we hear, the McMichaels take the stands and talk about what they did or did not do. He completely circumvented that whole thing. We didn't hear his voice. So as you said, to hear his voice, if anything, it was to satisfy the families. How satisfactory must that have been for the families to know that this man knew what he was doing in the moment, that he was wrong? You were right. This is significant, and it really is a very strange and interesting precedent, because we don't hear this from police officers. We don't hear this guilt. And this is another way for America to once again face what's going on with the police system and the accountability that they have. We thought about it, we wrote about it, we talked about it, Roland, but to hear him say it takes it to a totally different level, that this man knew while he had his knees on that neck for over 9 minutes, what he was doing is wrong. And for some people who have, families who are in this situation, that's more than they want to hear. Forget the money. They want to hear that this man knew what he was doing, accountability, and this was the most accountability that we have had from him over these years.
And again, as part of the deal, federal prosecutors allowed for the sentences to be concurrent, which means that he likely is going to be transferred to a federal prison. Remember, this is one of the things that the Ahmaud Arbery family did not want to happen in the case of the white supremacists who killed Ahmaud Arbery. They wanted them to serve their time in state prison, believing that is far more rigorous and, frankly, nastier or meaner than federal prison.
And indeed it is. The state prison is nastier, it's meaner. You have people who he's going to be alongside if he does go into a state prison, who know and have faced people like him outside, and they are going to get revenge. That's just what happens. They are waiting for him. His people know it, he knows it, and he doesn't want that. Federal prison, it's a little bit nicer in terms of kind of the rewards that you get for good behavior. It's a better situated system in terms of how it looks, how it feels, sleeping, eating. All of that is a slightly higher level than a state prison. So that would be certainly another victory for the families, that he's not going to live his sentence inside something that might be, a lighter sentence in terms of a federal prison that is going to go hard in a state prison. So certainly they're hoping for that. A lot of us are hoping for that, because that certainly is what he deserves.
All right, Candace Kelly, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right. Good to see you, Roland.
Likewise. Folks, going to a break. We come back. My panel will break down these two stories. Plus, we'll talk about today's Presidential Medal of Freedom ceremony at the White House. 17 of great Americans were honored by President Joe Biden. We'll show you what took place and hear from folks after the ceremony, including 2 of the medal recipients. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hey, I'm Amber Stevens-West.
Yo, what up, y'all? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. We are here at the Mayflower Hotel where the National Bar Association is holding a dinner in honor of attorney Fred Gray, one of the 17 Presidential Medal of Freedom recipients. Let's bring in my panel right now. Glad to have them on the show. Erica Savage, founder of the Reframed Brain. Glad to have you back on the show, Erica. Reese Colbert, Black Women Views. Also, Dr. Greg Carr with the Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. Reese, I want to start with you. There's a lot of attention, a lot of focus on Brittney Griner. WNBA players and others were saying the nation needs to pay more attention to this case, and now we're seeing some movement happen here.
Yeah, I do want to first start off respectfully to Ms. Kelly. She almost made it sound like there was no contact between the administration and Ms. Cheryl Griner when we saw just on the show on Tuesday when I hosted that she had been in contact with the Secretary of the State, Anthony Blinken, as well as the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. These are not peons. These are not small-time people in the administration. So I just want that to be clear. She hadn't spoken to the President of the United States, which most people don't get a chance to speak to, but, pressure works. And so she was granted an audience with the President and Vice President, and she was satisfied with what she was told during that meeting, and she felt encouraged by it. And so I just want to put that out there because it just sounded it sounded almost like they were blowing her off, which I don't believe to be the case. And they had classified her as wrongfully detained 2 months ago. So there are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. This is a delicate political situation. It doesn't always play out on social media. It doesn't always play out to where everybody can feel good about the movement that's happening, but that doesn't mean nothing was happening. But anyway, on another note, another thing I just wanted to say is people shouldn't take her pleading guilty at face value. We have a dims the rules kind of people. Well, if you did a crime, got to do the time, and she broke the rules, and what was she doing over there, and yada, yada, yada. But, obviously there's a strategy here. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but not y'all, but, maybe the audience. But they said they didn't find any drugs in her urine or in her blood. So this is not a person who's a heavy drug user. She's clearly not a drug smuggler, which is why she was facing 10 years. They tried to make it seem like she was part of an international drug ring. So I think that hopefully if this is what it takes to help move the needle forward and help expedite the process, hopefully that helps her out because she was going to get convicted anyway. There's a 99% conviction rate in Russia. It's not the trial that even we have here, which isn't always fair either. So I can't say I'm encouraged, but I'm just really hoping that there's some really good strategy behind this. But the other thing too, I wonder where Ms. Kelly got the idea that this was somehow in defiance of the administration or taking matters into their own hands. That just seemed like kind of out of nowhere. For all we know, it could have been in consult with them. So I would just be careful. I know that it's really easy to pounce on the administration, and I'm not trying to defend them and say they've been perfect, but I think we should also make sure we're putting out accurate information.
Erica, your thoughts again on this Griner case. And one of the things early on, the Biden administration did ask folks not to raise the decibel, if you will, There are a number of WNBA players who talked about that as well because they wanted this to be, in terms of, they said, look, it was delicate, private negotiations, and certainly understanding her family members wanting action to be done here. We cannot discount the reality, though, that Vladimir Putin doesn't give a damn what we say. He controls this whole process.
Oh, absolutely, Roland. He is judge, jury, and he will issue the verdict. One thing I also want to mention is that I talked about this a couple of days ago on another program, is that I served as an emissary a couple of years ago in the effort of a freeing of a political prisoner. And I can tell you from a national standpoint, from a faith standpoint, from a local standpoint, that it really is all hands on deck. And just for people to be aware that in 2015, under the Obama administration, the special presidential envoy for hostage affairs was stood up. So this is something that President Biden, having been vice president at that time, is intimately aware of. And there are two leaders, in addition to the leaders that Reese member, that are well-versed and very capable. And so I would caution additionally as well is for people to listen to the information. Trevor Reed, a spokesperson for his camp, he was detained in Russia for a period of years. Spokesperson said that, listen, Trevor was detained and did not want to sign a document to his guilt until the last few days, and that's when he was released. So this is due process. It's very delicate. I can say during that time period, I said practically nothing. And so, it's just now that I'm kind of sharing a bit about that process. So, to Reese's point, as, we are flooded and just used to this level of, as soon as something happens, it's made available on social media. When you're talking about, BG was one of 70 WNBA players that was in Russia at the time, the only one that was detained. As her legal team said, that she was clean, there was nothing in her system, that she is a queer woman, Black, and a WNBA player, high profile. We know that Vladimir Putin, as a former KGB officer, keeps dossiers. He's very aware of what's happening in his country. So I think for people to really take all of the information in that we're receiving and just know that just because we're not seeing it play out as we would a movie, as we would see something frame by frame on social media, does not mean something that's happening. But it also want to go to the pressure campaign that is moved forward with the signatures of many people, myself included, that have called for her release, that this is something that definitely has worked in favor of BG. However, the delicate balance of ensuring that BG is freed and that those conversations are happening with relationship to her freedom. Again, as Reese said, our government has said that she was wrongfully detained. And so this is something that people want to be engaged. There was just a rally in Arizona with a congressperson from out in Arizona that her coach from the Phoenix Mercury just had. And so they're issuing support. So, if people want to find out if perhaps there's a caucus group within their particular congressperson's area that they're connected with, do that. Please sign the petition. Please keep her name lifted above the fold so that we know that BG is not forgotten. But be aware that just because we don't see it does not mean that things are not in fact happening, because they are.
And look, Greg, I mean, you have the folks who are saying that, well, if this was Stephen Curry, if this was LeBron James, this would not be happening. But you also can't overlook the reality in terms of the pay inequities and the differences in these different sports. An NBA player doesn't have to go overseas. It's the players who don't make the cut in the NBA who play overseas. The fact of the matter is that women's sports, especially basketball in this country, simply is not even close to the NBA. The NBA is almost a $10 to $12 billion a year entity. The WNBA teams lose money. Those are facts. That's why female professional players have to go overseas to get paid well. And that's why she was in Russia.
That's true, Roland. And I'm old enough to remember the American Basketball League. Look it up. That's why David Stern and the people in the NBA started the WNBA to put the ABL out of business, which was projected to be a owner and player profit sharing proposition. Go look it up. But at any rate, the point is this. If it was Stephen Curry or LeBron James, not only would they be in jail, they would be in jail with even more press. The sexism would come in the amount of coverage, I think. Let's be very clear. Brittney Griner, BG, would be in the United States if it were in the interest of the Russian government. Let's just zoom out and look for a minute. Most of the countries in the world have not picked a side between Russia and the Ukraine. They've remained non-committal. India, which is the world's largest democracy, has blocked every, or at least abstained in every UN resolution condemning Russia. The United States and Europe don't have the muscle to move the world. India, Brazil, Mexico, South Africa, well, most of the African countries, the Caribbean, Latin America, they're staying out of it. They're trying to see what are their economic and strategic interests. Now, you know, there was a pushback on one of the islands in the Black Sea. The Ukrainians look like they might regain control. That would open up the grain again. Because remember, the Ukraine is a breadbasket in many ways of Central Europe, and it affects Africa. These countries are looking at their interests. And I'm glad you mentioned Robert Goodman and Minister Farrakhan, of course, Jesse Jackson, our brother Jeremiah Wright. Saddam Hussein was trying to embarrass the United States. Understand how geopolitics works. See, this is why we have to, particularly as Black people, stop looking at these things as domestic issues. That's soap opera stuff. I couldn't agree more, Erica, when you start talking about this. The bottom line is this. Saddam Hussein gave that brother up because it was a thumb in the eye of the United States government. Now let's get to Brittney Griner. The name people need to Google is Victor Bout, V-I-K-T-O, Bout. Victor Bout was convicted in 2011 of selling guns to the FARC rebels in Colombia and imprisoned in the United States. Victor Bout's lawyer has said this week that if the United States engaged in a prisoner swap, Victor Bout for Brittney Griner, she'd be home right now. But the Justice Department is against all kind of prisoner swaps. Meaning what? They're having a battle, as Reese says, in the Biden administration. And guess who's going off script? All them Black people, all those people in the WNBA, all the people for social justice, the LGBTQ community who are saying, free Brittney Griner, free Brittney Griner. Biden like, hey, everybody calm down. Because behind the scenes, it's not yet in Russia's interest to let her go. They're getting publicity. Hell, if LeBron James was locked up, they'd be getting more publicity. But the bottom line is nobody's coming home until these countries work out how they can make a deal that's in the best interest of the Russians. Now, all you got to do to see that this is very serious, but at the same time, that there are other forces at work. Look at Alexander Boykoff. Look at her lawyer. He come in there in a Hawaiian shirt, dude. Not only is nobody today, as everybody said, she's going to be convicted, and this is about the prisoner swap. Pay careful attention to the prisoner swap. Again, yeah, look up Victor Bout, and that might make it a little clearer.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. We're going to talk Presidential Medal of Freedom. The ceremony took place today at the White House, honoring 17 amazing Americans. We'll show you what took place, as well as cover some other news. This is Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from the Mayflower Hotel here, the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., where in less than an hour, the National Bar Association will hold a dinner in honor of one of those recipients, civil rights attorney Fred Gray, 91 years old. Right here. We'll be carrying it live right here on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to, folks, support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, all platforms, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Xbox, Samsung TV. Plus, support us in our efforts. Of course, folks, our goal is real simple, to get 20,000 of our fans to contribute on average $50 a year. That comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. I told y'all what happened. Of course, the accident that we had, our Sprinter was totaled. And of course, it was only insured up to $125,000. And so we've got more than likely have to pay additional $75,000. The second one, we're working on it right now. Hopefully we'll get it in September. And so you can support us, check our money orders, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. And on the next Get Wealthy, what do the ultra wealthy know that most of us don't? Well, the truth is that there is financial exclusion. And unfortunately, far too many Black folks haven't had access to this knowledge. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about on our next Get Wealthy with Melinda Hightower, a banker who's doing something to share exactly what you need to do to make it into the high net worth status.
They weren't just saving just to save, they were saving for a purpose.
That's right here on Get Wealthy with me, America's Wealth Coach, only on Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, everybody. This is Jonathan Nelson.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
LaDae Arnold disappeared from St. Louis, Missouri on June 26th. The 7-year-old is 3 feet 6 inches tall. She weighs 70 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. LaDae may be in the company of an adult male. Anyone with information about LaDae Arnold should call the Bellefontaine Neighbors, Missouri Police Department at 636-529-8210, 636-529-8210. Folks, the ex-cop in Cleveland who shot Tamir Rice has gotten first of all, he's now got a new job from a police department in Pennsylvania. Now he is resigned after the news went public. Timothy Lohman's attorney announced his client would quit his new position after the hiring sparked outrage. The president of the Tioga Borough Council posted this Facebook picture of Lohman's swearing-in ceremony. The photo led to some fury on the social media platform. Remember, in 2014, Lohman responded to a call saying that someone was waving a gun around, shooting 12-year-old Tamir Rice shortly after arriving on the scene. Lohman was never charged for Rice's death. What's crazy here, Erica, is that the mayor said he wasn't aware of Lohman's past. I guess they don't vet. I guess they don't use Google in this Pennsylvania town.
Yeah, I just woke up and found out I was Black. When I tell you I went straight to Facebook and saw how they had lit him up and righteously lit him up, this is why we have to pay attention to these folks who are tax-paid servants of law. Continue to follow them because he had a job and then he lost a job. And so he's going to continue to follow that same pattern. The person from within that particular council that posted that picture just the other day had posted something around Epstein's girlfriend around her sentencing and saying something smart around that. And so then people started going in to say, so what the hell were you doing hiring someone that killed a child? And so here we are again with a person who is swearing to uphold some kind of law that allows Black children, Black bodies, grandparents, mothers, daughters, and the rest to be treated without incident. We're seeing how our late brother Jayland Walker had 90 rounds fired upon him, 60 that landed, and that he was brought to the medical examiner's office as though a bounty. And so it is incumbent upon all of us as a community to make sure that this pressure campaign continues to come. He should never have a job. He should always have to suffer to eat, to provide for himself, to hopefully use a washcloth and wash his nasty behind. He should always have to pay for that, for taking someone's child out of this world in 2014 and 2012, excuse me. Can't recall what year it was, but very glad that the pressure campaign
It took place in 2014.
2014. And so glad that the pressure campaign, that people are staying woke and paying attention, and that we have to continue to follow this type of leadership that we continue to see. Just keep his name at the top of the fold, Timothy Lohman.
Greg, this is why, look, I and others believe there should be a national database. Cops involved in these type of shootings, names should be there because, frankly, they should never, ever have a badge or a gun.
Absolutely. And Reese, I think about you, since you probably say something about this. All that legislation that was stalled in the United States Senate after it passed the House that was trying to get to the President of the United States desk, this is one of those things. And again, Tim Michigan, Scott, you race traitor, lining up to block these kind of things, you're responsible for all of these failures, including that lack of a national database. But let's be very clear. Killing Tamir Rice was probably like a letter of recommendation for Lohman in that little borough. You know, y'all look up the census count, the 2010 census. I hope for their sake that the number of people in Cuyahoga in that little borough changes, because according to the 2010 census, the number of people who lived there was 666. The point I'm trying to make is that Floyd is coming east. Now he's 4 hours from Cleveland. Now he's coming east. He's right on the New York-Pennsylvania border trying to get a job. And that photograph you showed, the white dude swearing him in looked like he had on an open collar version of that shirt that Brittney Griner's lawyer had on in that picture in Russia. My point is, it's easy going, easy like Sunday morning. And as you often say, as we often remember, of course, the old saying that Pennsylvania is Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Alabama in between. He's welcome in those boroughs. And the only thing that's going to stop that, to exactly what you just said, Erica, is we got to keep the heat on. Just like BG's people and all of us who support her banged on the government, even though the government is involved in a geopolitical game, we got to bang on people like this. You should not know a minute's rest for the rest of your natural life. And then when you die, then the problem starts, because then you're going to take it up with Tamir. Then you're going to take it up with George Floyd. Then you're going to have to deal with Breonna Taylor. See, the ancestors waiting on your ass. That is, if you're close enough to deal with them, because you might actually be with the other people in the 666 borough that you almost got hired. I mean,
Reese, when you think about this case, the fact that there's so many officers, they get hired by the neighboring city, the neighboring county, and this happens over and over and over again. Not just in this case, but cases all around the country where these cops keep finding law enforcement jobs, keep having badges and guns.
Yeah, because as Dr. Carr said, it's a feature, not a bug, that they have these records. I mean, I think it's important to have the national database, which is what the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act will be. But the thing that's going to be the most powerful, which is the most unfortunate part about it, is public shaming and heat as pressure and putting pressure, as Erica said and as Dr. Carr said. You know, it's unfortunate, though, the same way it is when you have cops who kill people every day, the same way you have people who are killed but not in mass shootings every day. It's almost like it's only certain cases that get the attention, and then we keep our focus on those, rightfully so. But you have to wonder about all the people that don't make the headlines, all of the cops that, like you said, jump from town to town with no repercussions. That's what's really scary, because we know a name, but we don't know all the names of the cops that are doing the kinds of things that this officer did to Tamir Rice.
Folks, the protests continue in Akron, Ohio, in this just shocking and sickening case. Black man, 90 shots fired. 90 shots fired, 60 of them hitting him. Jayland Walker, the protests have been going on in Akron, Ohio, since it took place. Those arrested recently were Breonna Taylor's aunt and Jacob Blake Jr.'s father. Akron police say protests were peaceful until 8:30 last night, when around 50 protesters began to block and disrupt traffic near the Akron police station. Officers deployed tear gas to disperse the crowd after warning protesters. White and Blake joined more than 40 protesters who have been arrested since this weekend. Again, Jayland was shot more than 90 times by 8 officers, hit by more than 60 bullets on June 27th. What should have been a routine traffic stop. President Joe Biden says the Department of Justice, they are monitoring this case.
Make one serious comment about the shooting and the death of Jayland Walker. The Justice Department and Civil Rights Division of the FBI field office in Akron, Ohio, and the local U.S. Attorney's Office are closely monitoring and reviewing what happened. The FBI continues to coordinate with state and local partners to provide resources and specialized skill. If the evidence reveals potential violations of federal criminal statutes, the Justice Department will take the appropriate action. And I just want you to know what's going to happen.
The 8 officers involved are on paid administrative leave. Greg, I will start with you. Again, another example, traffic stop leads to death.
Yes, sir. I mean, we've seen this too much. The President of the United States' hands are tied, but some of that rope is rope he spun himself. The front page of New York Times today has an article about how people want somebody to punch somebody in the face. I understand the President of the United States. I mean, this is a country he was born and raised in. He believes in it. He believes in its systems of government. And just like his Justice Department is very likely standing in the way of a prisoner swap, and maybe with legitimate concerns, he's saying, sitting there, you know, if this, if that. These 4 white boys got a damn paid vacation. You kill a black person in the United States, you get a paid vacation. Then you get clear. I mean, if something happens and maybe you get convicted or something, they ding you up. And that damn white national Supreme Court is chipping away at the possibility of you being dragged into civil court. Oh, don't worry. They're going after these settlements that are being settled. They come from our tax dollars. So I kind of feel for the President of the United States. At the same time, I was shaking my head because I'm saying when you kill a black woman or a black man, a black boy or a black girl in this country, you get a paid damn vacation. Yeah. This is what we're on the verge of now. We're on the verge of black people saying, don't take them to court. Let them go back to work. ... Because as these militias ramp up and arm up, as they get ready to try to steal the 2024 election and they all get guns, you know, more and more people are saying, you know, if we're going to get slaughtered, if we must die, then we're going to test the damn Second Amendment. Say I can get a gun? Okay, I'm going to get the strap. License and boom! I'm not wishing it on you. I'm saying you are daring people. Because if you're just going to get killed anyway, why in the hell would I get shot in the back? Hell, if I'm going to take 2 in the chest, I might as well, yeah, what did Jay-Z said? He threw 2 at me, I threw 4 back. Please understand, putting these white boys on damn paid vacation for murder is an incentive to get more of them to do the damn same.
You know, and that's the thing, you know, that drives me crazy, Reese. 8 cops. When I was in Louisiana for Essence Fest, I was talking with one of the New Orleans Police Department officers, an African American, and he said, I don't give a damn what those cops say. There is no justification for 8 cops firing 90 shots at one person.
Period. And to further add injury on top of injury, they handcuffed a body that had been obliterated, shot from ankles to his cheeks with 60 gunshot wounds, and they handcuffed him. Even after he was dead, handcuffed him when they brought him in for an autopsy. That's no different than pissing on his body, spitting on him. That's how much they wanted to degrade him. That's how much vitriol and demonic energy they had towards a person that was just on the traffic, just driving, you know, just driving. So this is a soulless demonic force that has the word police written on it. And I don't know how much we can do to solve that. I'm not for all of us picking up arms because I don't think black people have the best aim. Not as good as white folks do all the time. So I would like a peaceful solution, but, and I'm not trying to stereotype, somebody's gonna be like, I'm a marksman. Okay, you are a marksman. But we are hitting a point where it's going to bubble over because 60 shots, 7 people dead, and 1 person out of those 2 situations walks away. And it's not the person who was on a traffic stop. It's the person who killed 7 people and walked away. Something has got to give, and I don't know what it's going to take for people to say, we got to figure some shit out because what we got going on right now ain't working.
Yep. But this right here, Erica, is why I said on the anniversary of the George Floyd death, the second anniversary, I really hope the families, I really do hope they come together and issue a national statement calling on President Joe Biden to bring them, to bring law enforcement, to bring Senator Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham, Republicans to the White House to say, get the George Floyd Justice Act bill back on track. I said, and I told Attorney Ben Crump, I'm going to see him tonight at this dinner. I'm going to say it again. In fact, I'm probably going to say it because I'm emceeing. I'm going to say it from the podium because there needs to be another attempt at it. Look, they can't say we don't have enough time to get it done. And what that will do is it will force Scott and Graham to look these black families in the eye and say why we have failed or we can't get it done. So the pressure must continue because this kind of crap has to stop.
Oh, absolutely, Roland. And I'm so glad that you use your bully pulpit appropriately to do that. If we could just have more people that would exercise that same level of care. I will say with regard to Tim Scott, that's what I'll call him, Tim Scott, that, you know, for him to be reminded of who he is. And I think that continually putting in the face these black families, I think about Jayland Walker's mother, and it really, breaks my heart to have seen and listened to her as she sat in a church, a place she felt safe, a place in his and Lindsey Graham's own state where 9 black people were gunned down while having Bible study not that many years ago. That's where she was rocking back and forth, crying, giving an interview, number one, grieving the death of her son, but the way in which her son was executed and executed on body cam for the world to see, and executed in a way by these slave patrol agents where they were reloading magazines as though they were as if they were hunting an animal. When I look at that crowd, the footage that you showed just a moment ago, I'm looking at the restlessness of a crowd. I'm seeing people that are pushing back against the police, that are refusing and saying, well, if you're going to mace me, I'm still going to record it. I'm looking at other black men coming to the aid of black men. People are tired as hell. And I think that if these folks think that there is not a bill that is coming due, baby, as soon as you put seed in the ground, it starts to germinate. And those seeds don't come up right away, but they do come up. And so for those 8 officers that are on paid administrative leave at the expense of those taxpayers in Akron, Ohio, I hope they continue to stay in the streets. I hope they keep the pressure campaigns up. And I hope that they continue to ensure that Jayland's name is not lost as we continue to face more and more gun violence. Do not let this black man's name fall to the ground.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We're going to go to another break, and we come back. We're going to show you what took place at the White House today. The Presidential Medal of Freedom, 17 honorees, and, of course, luminaries, civil rights luminaries, Diane Nash, as well as Fred Gray. They were honored. Simone Biles became the youngest person ever awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Denzel Washington is an honoree, was not there. We'll explain why. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Of course, I looked up to Spike Lee. Of course, who didn't? I mean, he's a genius. But then also, I was this kid from Brooklyn, right? That felt like,
give me my damn respect.
I made this, this creative art, right, that people are responding to. And it would have been great if we had the opportunity to sit one-on-one.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Spike.
What's up, baby?
So I'm in LA right now. I got a one-on-one series with my network, Black Star Network. And I'm interviewing Maddie Rich.
I appreciate that, bro. That's a big moment, man. That was like, man, That was good. Got me all choked up. That's good.
Well, I'm all about connecting.
Appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Godfrey, the funniest dude on the planet. And you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow.
All right, folks, today at the White House, President Biden welcomed 17 honorees, actually 16 of the 17 honorees to the White House, who he awarded for the first time as president the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's the highest honor given to an American citizen. They hail from all walks of life, politics, civil rights, law, sports, you name it. They were all there. We live streamed it on the Black Star Network. And again, so this is the video of them all walking into the room. And so the president, he introduced each one of the honorees. This is what he first had to say about Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast ever in American history.
Congresswoman Gabby Gifford.
Simone Biles, the most decorated American gymnast in history, who everyone stops everything every time she was on camera, just to watch, just to see her. When we see her compete, we see unmatched power and determination, grace and daring. A trailblazer and a role model. When she stands on the podium, we see what she is, absolute courage, to turn personal pain into greater purpose, to stand up and speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. Today, she adds to her medal count of 32. I know you're going to find room. 32 Olympic and World Championship medals. At age 25, the youngest person ever to receive the Medal of Freedom. The youngest ever.
Here's President Biden saluting civil rights icon Diane Nash.
As a 23-year-old student at Fisk University, Diane Nash received a phone call from Attorney General Robert Kennedy's top deputies, warning her about the violence at the next stop of the Freedom Ride she organized across the South. She replied, and I quote, "We all signed our last will and testaments before they left. We know someone will be killed, but we cannot let violence overcome nonviolence." Think of that. With unmistakable courage and unshakable courage and leadership, Diane Nash shaped some of the most important civil rights efforts in American history. A key architect of the sit-in movement in Nashville. After 4 little girls were murdered at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, she called for a nonviolent movement across Alabama that planted the seeds that became the Selma campaign 2 years later. Her activism echoes the call of freedom around the world today. And yet, she is the first to say the medal is shared with hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans who sacrificed so much for the cause of liberty and justice for all. And by the way, she asked me to make sure to add that because she didn't want to take all the credit herself.
One of the folks she knows very well is a 91-year-old civil rights attorney, Fred Gray, also one of the honorees.
When Dr. King, Rosa Parks, and Claudette Colvin, and John Lewis, and other giants of our history needed a lawyer for their fight for freedom, you know who they call? They call a guy named Fred Gray. That's who they call. One of the most important civil rights lawyers in our history. Fred's legal brilliance and strategy desegregated schools and secured the right to vote. He went on to be elected as one of the first African Americans to Alabama state legislature since Reconstruction. An ordained minister, he imbued a righteous calling that touched the soul of our nation. And at 91 years young, he's still practicing law. He's still... And he's still keeping the faith in the best of America.
Folks, Denzel Washington was supposed to be there, but the president had this to say about him not being there. Okay, sorry, folks, we should have had that. So he announced that Denzel Washington could not make it. Well, the fact of the matter is, Denzel Washington tested positive for COVID and was unable to make it. I was texting his wife, Pauletta. Both were greatly disappointed. But the president did say in his speech that he would be awarding his medal at a later date. Also, the other individual who was honored was a nurse out of New York, a Jamaican immigrant who was the first person to actually get the COVID vaccine outside of the clinical trials.
When she was 18 years old, Sandra Lindsay immigrated to Queens, New York from Jamaica to pursue her dream of becoming a nurse. As director of nursing and critical care at a hospital in Queens during the height of the pandemic, she poured her heart into helping patients fight for their lives and to keep their fellow nurses safe. And when the time came, she was the first person in America to get fully vaccinated outside of clinical trials. Sandra, as I told you before, if there's any angels in heaven, they're all nurses, male and female. No, for real, they really are. Many of you who have spent a lot of time in the hospital, as some of us have, you know. Doctors let you live. Nurses, male and female, make you want to live. Make you want to live. Sandra's vaccination card and hospital scrubs and badge are part of the Smithsonian National Museum of American History exhibit on COVID-19. Today, she receives our nation's highest civilian honor and deserves it.
Sandra Lindsay, again, there, the Jamaican ambassador. Ambassador Marks was there to see that take place. Other people there, Senator Alan Simpson, Cindy McCain accepting the award on behalf of her late husband, Senator John McCain. Lorraine Powell Jobs, the widow of Steve Jobs, was there. Also, founder of, first of all, there were other people who were there as well, just amazing individuals. Former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was there as well. A strong proponent of gun laws, and so many others who were receiving the awards. Now, when it was all over, there was a pianist that was playing different music, and then all of a sudden began to play, lift every voice and sing. And of course, when that happens, black folks gonna sing the song.
Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sound, loud as the rolling sea.
Well, I was there in the room shooting that video, got a chance to talk to a number of people afterwards, talk about this important day. First up is the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama, Stephen Reed. Of course, remember, they took a $25,000 fine from the state of Alabama by taking the name of a street in Montgomery named after a Confederate general and putting up the name of Fred Gray. Here's what he had to say about today's ceremony.
All right, Mendes, your thoughts, especially your hometown hero, Fred Gray.
You know, it is great for Attorney Gray and his family. We're honored that he calls Montgomery and Tuskegee home. But I think more important than anything, it's great that his work has been recognized, his dedication, his longevity, all of the things that he wanted to do in terms of striking down segregation, he did. And I'm a beneficiary of that, and so many of us are. So it's great to be in this moment and to witness it firsthand.
Got it.
Former U.S. Senator Doug Jones, caught up with him as well.
Obviously there are some big names up there, but being from Alabama, just your thoughts about Fred Gray.
My friend Fred, my hero Fred, absolutely long overdue honor. One of the unsung heroes of the movement. I'm not sure how far the movement would have gotten without a brilliant young Fred Gray, really putting his career, his life on the line. An amazing man, and still going. I mean, still going. He doesn't age.
91 years old, still practicing law.
He doesn't age. It's just phenomenal. I'm so happy for him, his family, and frankly for the state of Alabama.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that was, again, former U.S. Senator Doug Jones of Alabama. Simone Biles, she actually stopped by the area where all the microphones were set up there, and she talked about what it meant to be the youngest recipient ever, and several other questions that we had a chance to ask her. Here is Simone Biles.
Sorry.
What's up, H-Town?
Simone, how do you feel? Just tell us your feelings about today, special day.
Well, hearing that I was the youngest, it was a huge honor. It's kind of scary because it is the best award you could receive for your whole life. So now it's kind of scary, like, oh, what do I do now? But it's a huge honor. I'm excited to be here, especially with my family, my agents, all the other recipients. So it was an exciting morning.
What message do you think this honor and receiving its young sons to young women across the country?
Yeah, I think it really will teach them you can do anything you put your mind to, and to just speak up, use your platforms, be authentic, be yourself, and stay true to yourself, and just go out there and have fun in whatever your adventure is.
There have been folks honored in other sports, basketball and football, for you, but for this to be gymnastics, how critical is that?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting because it shines a good light on our sport, because our sport is so fun, it's so incredible. We've had kind of a cloud over it the last couple of years, so to put some sunshine feels good.
Where does this accomplishment rank among all your other accomplishments?
I think it's definitely at the top. For me, obviously, going to the Olympics and winning all of those medals, I put in so many years of hard work and stuff, but to be recognized from the president and everything else is really special.
Did the president share any message with you when you were speaking with him today or on stage?
Yeah, he just was saying how courageous I was and how we kind of need more young people like that. So it was really exciting to hear that and to know that my hard work is paying off, especially using my platforms, because he said that's why they chose me as well.
Any message to a foster child out there?
Sorry?
Any message to a foster child out there who's watching this?
Yes, I support you. I believe in you. Keep up the great work. You can do anything you put your mind to, and we're trying to do as much as we can for the foster community, and I'll continue to do that.
Thank you. Okay, you're so sorry.
Dennis Archer, former mayor of Detroit, former president of the National Bar Association, shared his thoughts.
What's your thoughts on these honorees? Diane Nash, Fred Gray, some historic figures on that stage.
I thought it was just outstanding, and to see all of us here celebrating the recognition of what they contributed and what they meant to all of us. There's so many people I know would love to have been here, and there was a link. I think if you got on it, you could see it even though you're not here. I want you to know that I've been enjoying watching you on television.
I appreciate it.
I thought your interviews have been outstanding, and they show great respect for your contribution, for what you've done and do for all of us. Keep up the good work.
I will do. Well, you know, I got to represent an alpha. I appreciate it. Good seeing you.
I miss you tonight, but I'm thankful.
Folks, Kazir Khan was one of the 17 honored. I met him a few years ago. He's a big fan of mine, and we had a good conversation outside of the White House about what it meant to be a Presidential Medal of Freedom winner. Here's our conversation.
First and foremost, how does it feel to be to get the nation's highest honor?
I am humbled. I'm honored. I'm grateful to President Biden, and I'm grateful to his administration for being the champions of diversity, equal dignity, and I accept this on behalf of all immigrants. I am a first-generation immigrant to this country, came empty-handed and received amazing love and support, and have built nothing to something, and then to receive this recognition, it means so very much to me. I feel that that journey is moving forward because there is so much more that still needs to be done to uplift so many Americans that still have not shared American dream. So it's a reminder that that journey continues, and we will continue to speak, we will continue to come together, and together we will defend our foundational values so that the journey could complete. Without effort, without a struggle, our civil rights would have not been possible. It was the valerious action and struggle that we have civil rights now. But still, more needs to be done, more shall be done. So it is in that struggle, in that effort, that I accept this award.
You were quite emotional a few times up there.
Yes, it's a realization of how far I have come, because I'm a testament to not having anything to having so much, and sometime as a human being it could be overwhelming to come to full realization standing next to the President of the United States and realizing that in the authoritarian dictatorships, I did not matter. I was no one. Here I am receiving this nation's highest recognition. So for that reason, and it reminded me of my son as well, that he would have been so proud today.
All right, well, we certainly appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Always good seeing you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Secretary of Health and Human Services, Xavier Becerra, we caught up with him afterwards as well. We were talking to him about the positive COVID designation of Denzel Washington, and he said, we got to stay vigilant. It's still real.
In Connecticut, where we really had a great time with the family that had just vaccinated their 6-month-old daughter. And that's what we want people to know is today we've got a way to stay alive, stay safe, and stay healthy. It's the vaccine. 6 months and above, you can get vaccinated. So we'll get vaccinated.
And do we need to wear masks on the outside, especially as this is so contagious? Because before the thought was we don't need to wear masks on the outside.
If you are in an area where there is high level of contagion, if you are in an area where there's high level of contagion, it makes sense to wear a mask. You don't need to wear a mask everywhere. If you're outdoors, it's a lot easier to go without it. But if you're outdoors in a space where there's a large congregation of people, be smart, be safe, do what you think is going to work best. If you don't get into any kind of vehicle without buckling up, you should not do anything about dealing with COVID without using all the safety precautions you can.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we did have an opportunity to ask him his thoughts about today's ceremony, and here is the Secretary.
Reads there, who were you most excited to see be honored by the President?
You know, I'll be honest, I've known some of them for years. Some of them have stories that are compelling, especially for someone of color. But I will say something, given today's circumstances, Alan Simpson, Senator Simpson from Wyoming, Republican, he and I have a deep friendship. Not because we agreed on so many things, it's because we were able to disagree and still be friends. And I have great fond memories when I served on the Simpson-Bowles or Bowles-Simpson Fiscal Commission. He was nothing but a gentleman, and I probably, of all the people, wanted to, as a friend, say something to him. But I will tell you, you had giants in that room, giants who fought for civil rights, giants who fought for the respect and dignity of others. You know what? It's great that we do this for Americans because it shows who we are. But it was great. I got a kick out of seeing Alan Simpson. The guy's about 2 times my size, but it was great to see him.
Denzel didn't show up because he had COVID.
That's right. I think everybody in that room was there because they wanted to see Denzel Washington. So we'll have to come back again, right?
But what does that send to? What message does that send to America that Denzel didn't even show up for the highest civilian award for any person?
You know, when you're a no-show for your own event, you know, that's how powerful COVID can be. And that's how powerful the message should be. Get vaccinated, get boosted, get your children vaccinated, because we don't want to be sick. You don't want to miss your award ceremony.
And he's double boosted. I was texting his wife, so she's double boosted.
Listen, I'm double boosted, and I got COVID twice.
In a month.
Same here.
In a month, yeah. Yeah, so I probably had every variant you can think of. And that's because I got to be around a lot of different folks. Yep. But hey, we know what it takes to be safe. We know what it takes to stay alive. Let's do it.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, now let's go to our panel. Let's see here. Greg, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, a number of people deserving of these honors. But I can tell you right now, the loudest applause, Attorney Fred Gray had his whole section over there. Every living president of the National Bar Association was there. A number of folks there to cheer him on. And, of course, civil rights stalwart Diane Nash.
Absolutely. I'd like to correct the secretary. It doesn't show who we are. There is no work. There is no we. It shows who the people who live here are. It's a minor thing, but actually it's very major. You know, leave it to one of the greatest actors in the history of motion picture and theater to steal the scene, because now he gets his own individual ceremony. So shout out to Denzel Washington. But that having been said, you know, Simone Biles obviously deserves that medal. I mean, of course, it's the Medal of Freedom, which means really doesn't mean a whole lot. I mean, it's demographics. It almost looks like Democratic National Convention, right? They checked all the boxes. They got Megan Rapinoe for LGBTQ. They got the bipartisanship with Simpson and John McCain, Richard Krumka, the old labor movement. You know, he's warming up for the midterms. But setting that aside, you know, and I know Fred Gray is your friend. You've interviewed him. I suspect you might see him tonight if I'm reading the tea leaves here. But, you know, Fred Gray just published a book, and I just got it a couple of weeks ago, Alabama versus King. This is his other book that follows up his memoir, Bus Ride to Justice. And we think about that number 25. Fred Gray was 25 years old when the Supreme Court affirmed the lower court in the Montgomery bus boycott case, breaking the back of segregation in Alabama, and by extension, setting that crack throughout the country. So, I mean, if this were a country where there was a we, he'd have gotten that medal along with Coretta and along with Martin and along with everybody else in Montgomery, E.D. Nixon, Rosa Parks and them, and Joanne Robinson. They'd have got that medal in 1956. But 3 years later, as he opens his autobiography, Bus Ride to Justice, he went up the steps of the Supreme Court and argued for Dr. Charles Gamillion, Dr. Gamillion in Tuskegee, Gamillion versus Lightfoot, and rewrote the law on gerrymandering. That's Fred Gray. Fred Gray represented the victims of the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, the Freedom Riders, some of the Montgomery marchers. And shout out to the Alabama State Bulldogs, because that's where he went to undergrad. And I saw my friend Crystal Gregory there singing the Black National Anthem, or the National Anthem, as I call it. Francis Scott Key, I don't know what the hell that is. But, you know, she's an alum of Fisk. And I know she was in that room because the great Diane Nash of Fisk Bulldog got that medal around her neck. So that was a beautiful thing to see, Roland. And if and when you see Fred Gray, which I suspect you will shortly, I'm sure wish I could get him to sign Alabama versus King, because my copy of his autobiography is autographed. Fred Gray is not only a legend and a hero, that's what a black lawyer looks like. Everybody take note of what a black lawyer in America looks like. It's Fred Gray, bro.
Well, Greg, if you here in D.C., get down here. I'll make sure it gets signed. And so I have to actually, we're at the Mayflower in D.C. I have to do an actual fireside chat with Fred Gray. And so if you're looking for to get signed, come on down here. I'll make sure it happens. Reese, I want to go to you. Some amazing folks, obviously on that stage. Beyond Fred, beyond Diane, beyond Simone Biles, the most decorated woman in U.S. military history as well. And one of the closing lines of President Biden, he said to the people on the stage, he said, "This is America. This is America in terms of its diversity." Khizr Khan, Pakistani immigrant on that stage. Sandra, Jamaican immigrant on that stage. I know that drives them ADOS folks crazy, but that's the reality of what happens in this country.
I would say it's the promise of America. It's the America we aspire to,
right?
But we ain't quite got there yet, because there's the other side of America, which we've seen on the news and which we've talked about. But, ever the cynic, Dr. Carr, I'm with you on the diversity tips, but I'm going to just set that aside and just go ahead and be happy for the people who were celebrated. In particular, for me, Simone Biles being celebrated, I love that it was about, I love that it was on the heels of her exercising some self-care and putting herself first in terms of the mental health episode that she had at the Olympics, and she was viciously attacked by people like Piers Morgan and others behind it. And so I like that she's getting recognized for the totality of her experiences, being an abuse survivor, her advocacy in that realm, as well as her advocacy in mental health, as well as her accomplishments. So for her to be the youngest Freedom Awardee is definitely very much warranted. And when Denzel comes back, I'm gonna be at that, because I had Clay today, so I wasn't able to make it, but I would have, if I'd have something else to do. But please, I hope that Denzel's award ceremony, I can make it to that one.
Trust me, I was texting Pauletta. She was in tears. They could not be there. And she said, "I really hope Biden presents this in person to Denzel." And then when Biden announced that he would be presenting it later, she sent me the church happy dance emoji. So she was certainly happy about that. And I told her, I said, Pauletta, you make sure they don't do that photo only. You make sure there's video and it's live stream, and I'll be happy to come in and do it for y'all, as long as it gets done. She said, exactly. That's going to absolutely get done. Erica, your thoughts about today's honorees?
Yeah, so I definitely echo Reese in her sentiments around Simone Biles. So do, because you think about children in the foster care system and some of the different trappings that children do fall into. It is just amazing to see how she has flourished and really is a beacon and a voice for that community as well. So glad to see her, the nurse who her work continues forward with mental well-being. And so definitely championing what she did. It was just a pleasure to see. And I took to great heart seeing Mr. Khan. And I put my hand over heart a few times. I'm so glad that you interviewed him again, Roland, and showed him to listen to him talk, because I can remember in the not too distant past, an orange son of a Klansman ridiculing him. And the level of strength that it took to address someone who defamed not only he and his wife, but his son who passed defending this country, something Bone Spurs and anything that he's connected to know nothing about. So that was really heartwarming to see him, to hear him, to see him be honored in that way, and just really to see all of the people that were there that were being honored in such a beautiful way. It really does kind of give us a real selah, just a moment to pause and to breathe and just to really celebrate folks. So really glad to see the interviews that you got, to know that you were in the house, and to see some well-deserving people being lifted forward.
Indeed, indeed. So it was great. So, folks, just so you understand here, I am here at the Mayflower Hotel, the National Bar Association. Ariel, let's get a shot of the room if we can. The National Bar Association, they're having an actual dinner in celebration of Fred Gray. All of the living presidents are going to be here. This is the program right here. Show you. This is the program right here. President's Dinner celebrating Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Honorable Fred Gray Sr., Sheila Jackson Lee, Honorary Co-Chair, Terry Sewell, Honorary Co-Chair, and Alicia Hughes is the dinner chair. So Reverend Al Sharpton was supposed to MC this, to my understanding. They texted me yesterday when I was in Birmingham asking me to do it. I said, well, sure, as long as we can actually do the show from here and also live stream from the actual ceremony, the dinner. Kristen Clark, of course, Civil Rights Division head of the Department of Justice, should be here, give us remarks as well. So we'll be carrying all of that right here on the Black Star Network. So let me say this here. And so certainly congratulations to all of the winners. But there was one person who I really hope was going to be honored as a part of this class. And it was very interesting, Greg, to hear the president mention Diane Nash's role in the Nashville movement. And I'm going, but you got to honor the architect of the Nashville movement. Reverend Jim Lawson is still with us, 92 years old, gave that eulogy at Congressman John Lewis's. He was the one who trained John Lewis. He was the one who trained Diane Nash. He was the one who trained all of those folks, James Bevel, all of those folks who came out who were all SCLC workers. They came through Nashville. I really hope, remember in Selma, you had my man Jesse Williams, who played Reverend Jim Lawson. He was the one who made the call to MLK to come to Memphis. I had sent a text message last year to Susan Rice as well as to Cedric Richmond. I said, man, you definitely got to honor him. And here's the other thing, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, and it's very interesting. Out of all of the major figures who round out the king, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, even posthumously, has never been a Medal of Freedom honoree. I think he's deserving, and there's absolutely no doubt, Greg, that Ella Baker should be honored posthumously with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Your thoughts on those three civil rights figures?
Brother, when you said Ella Baker, I thought about Septa McClark, and I thought about Miss Hamer, Fannie Lou Hamer, and so many others. You know, this just goes to show you, and again, no, I'm not being cynical, Reese. My eyes are wide open. I just don't let America get off for its sins. And I think there may be one reason why Jim Lawson doesn't have one, quite frankly, because he doesn't have a champion. You know, I watched and listened to Congresswoman Sewell over the last couple of days, and she fought. She fought for that medal to hang around Fred Gray's neck. And she'll be there tonight, and I'm sure she'll tell that story again. You know, I'm not sure that the other figures you mentioned have a champion. You know, there's a lot of this is politics. And all due respect to entertainers and athletes, and I don't care who they are. This isn't singling out any athlete who's gotten one or entertainer that's gotten one. This were a country, a nation, as opposed to kind of place where people have to jockey for position and you got somebody got a cape for you, then everyone you named and everybody else would have one. It wouldn't just be them. It would be, you know, I mean, you name it. Does Constance Baker Motley have one? I mean, you start talking about sisters who deserve one before just about anybody else, then you got to have her on the short list. I mean, but Ella Jo Baker, without Ella Baker, arguably you don't have the formation of SNCC in the way that it looked. And if you brought all of the ancestors back who were part of SNCC and brought all the ones who are living together and said, if you could give out one medal, who would it be to? They might say Ella Jo Baker. So, you know, we'll see going forward, but some things you just can't explain. If you don't have a champion, you know, maybe if Marcus Garvey had the right champion, Barack Obama would have issued a pardon, or maybe Joe Biden would. But you know, it's too much of this is politics, and you can give out as many of them as you want. And so maybe we need to, I think, to your what you're raising, maybe we need to now just say, you know, if you're gonna have the next black neck around that medal hangs around who's still breathing while you got a chance, need to be Jim Lawson. That's a good point you're raising, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will say this here. There is a member of Congress, Representative Rosa DeLauro, who has introduced the resolution to award the Congressional Gold Medal to Constance Baker Motley. That actually was reported on in February. And so, look, I'm going to be the champion for those three. That is Lawson, as well as Baker and Abernathy. And I can tell you right now, when I interviewed Juanita Abernathy, before she died, I interviewed her in 2018 in preparation for MLK 50. I can tell you that, and I'm telling folks, understand, it is extremely painful for the Abernathy family to see folks like Andrew Young, Reverend Jackson, Reverend C.T. Vivian, Joseph Lowry, Reverend Congressman John Lewis, and so many others get the Medal of Freedom over these years, and Abernathy never has. I can tell you for a fact that, we were in there, and Anthony was there shooting with me. The pain and the bitterness of that family is evident. And there are a lot of people who believe that a lot of civil rights people who are still upset with him for writing in his book about Dr. King allegedly having affairs the night before he was killed. But there's no way that you can honor a lot of these civil rights folks and you not honor the man who literally was standing right next to King. And as King said, without Ralph, it ain't possible. And so I just think, again, for history's sake, and I know somebody watching right now or saying, well, Roland, somebody's passed on. Yeah, but it's important for history's sake. It's important, for that acknowledgement. And that's why it's important that Ella Baker be recognized. And in many ways, Ella Baker, folks, if y'all want to go read Barbara Ransby's book on Ella Baker. Ella Baker, in many ways, was like Reverend Jim Lawson. They were not the ones trying to be out front. They were not the ones trying to call news conferences. In fact, if y'all want to see, first of all, go to Black Star Network. You can see my interview with Fred Gray. You can also see my interview with Reverend Jim Lawson. Reverend Lawson said his last image of MLK was MLK in the pulpit at Mason Temple on April 3rd, 1968. And he said to me, and I was exactly where I was supposed to be, sitting on the end of the pew in the back. So he's been a figure who's never sought the limelight. He's never tried to become, like when Bob Moses resigned from the civil rights movement, he didn't want to become a civil rights celebrity. Has never been Reverend Jim Lawson. But folks, but if you go back and listen, folks, to that eulogy that he gave at Congressman John Lewis's funeral, I know everybody praises President Obama's eulogy. No, the eulogy that was preached was by Reverend Jim Lawson. And that man still sharp in mind at his age and still talking about a movement building and how to get done. His advice for Black Lives Matter. And I'll leave folks with this here. And if y'all see my interview, it was an amazing piece. Reverend Jim Lawson could have gotten a deferment for World War II. I think it was World War II. World War II, the Korean War. He could have gotten deferment because he was a seminary student. This man is such a non-violent person.
Yes.
He chose not to accept the deferment, and he accepted federal prison.
That's right.
To show how much he's against the war. He could have gotten deferment by saying, hey, I'm clergy. He said, I'm going to reject your deferment, send me to prison because I will not go to war. An amazing figure, an amazing story. And again, a lot of people don't know about him. They don't know about the Nashville movement. But if you want to understand the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, if you want to understand SNCC, you have got to look at what the Nashville movement did. And so an amazing figure. And so I hope it happens. And trust me, White House folks will be hearing from me tomorrow about Reverend Jim Lawson and Reverend Ralph Abernathy, as well as Ella Baker. And Reese, I fully expect you to drop in a little word to your homegirl.
Okay, I got you.
Just making sure we clear, Reese.
We're here. Okay.
All right, y'all. I'm going to go to Got to do that. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go to a quick break. YouTube. When I get back, y'all better be 1,000 likes. I don't know why y'all got me having to ask y'all for this, but I'm gonna go to a quick break. We'll come back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and on the next Get Wealthy, what do the ultra wealthy know that most of us don't? Well, the truth is that there is financial exclusion, and unfortunately, far too many Black folks haven't had access to this knowledge, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about on our next Get Wealthy with Melinda Hightower, a banker who's doing something to share exactly what you need to do to make it into the high net worth status.
They weren't just saving just to save, they were saving for a purpose.
That's right here on Get Wealthy with me, America's Wealth Coach, only on Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, everyone. It's Kiara Sheard.
Hey, I'm Taj.
I'm Coco.
And I'm Lily. And we're SWV.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. We're here at the Mayflower Hotel for the National Bar Association dinner honoring attorney Fred Gray for being one of the 17 recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I have been off for the past couple of days. Reese Colbert filled in for me on Tuesday. Larry Walker filled in on yesterday. If y'all want to pull the video up, we were, of course, I had to fly back to Alabama because Deshaun Smith, who is our driver, he was driving the Rover-mobile, our sprinter, from New Orleans back to D.C. with our equipment when he was basically forced to swerve. So there was a white man driving a white Malibu who kept, like, Deshaun would change a lane, he would change a lane. Deshaun would change a lane back, he would change a lane back. It's kept going back and forth. Folks, if y'all could go ahead and play the video, if you have that. And so Deshaun said that he decided to back off, allow this guy to go forward. And what this guy did was something that was just absolutely heinous. So what he did was he actually pulled up alongside Deshaun, looked at him, smiled, jumped in front of him, and then slammed on his brakes, causing the Deshaun to swerve. And the sprinter flipped over, y'all, flipped over 7 times. Chad Washington, who was driving our other SUV from behind, Chad said he actually thought Deshaun did not make it. If y'all go to my YouTube channel, y'all can go to my Facebook page, y'all can pull a video up, y'all, not show these photos. Come on now, it's a video show. You'll see the video when we arrived on the scene yesterday to the actual, to actually see it. And so it's significant. So you see all the damage. The Rover-mobile is totaled. It's completely totaled. Now, all these folks, I posted something on Instagram, and the folks have been talking about, oh, y'all were underinsured. No. When we insured the vehicle, we could only insure it up to $125,000. It cost $195,000. They would not allow us to insure it for more. And so, yes, we looked at gap coverage and all that sort of stuff. That was a deal. So there's a black upfitter company out of Atlanta. It's the only black upfitter company in America. We are talking with them right now. We're designing our next sprinter. They put a rush order in. They contacted Mercedes. Mercedes has looked at what happened here. And, in fact, their engineers are studying our video, saying that there are safety features exactly what they were supposed to do, because what happened was when it was impact, all of the airbags in the driver's cabin, only Deshaun was in the sprinter, they all came out and pretty much created a cocoon around him, and so he was able to walk out through the front window. He suffered contusions on his body. His thumb was injured, but that was it. That was it. We got him, yes, he came out of the hospital later that day. We got him yesterday. We went down to Birmingham. We got all of our equipment out of the sprinter. We got to be in Birmingham in a couple of weeks for the SWAC Media Day. So Sheila Smoot, former journalist, we left a number of our items with her. We then loaded the other SUV back. They drove that back. We didn't want Deshaun flying because of a concussion issues. And so we didn't want him flying because we have swelling in the brain. So Deshaun is back. Chad is back. We're so glad that they are well. But y'all see the level of damage to the vehicle. It is completely destroyed. And so we are working right now to get a second one. And so I want to thank all of y'all, folks in Alabama, folks in Louisiana, people all around the country. They've been calling. They've been texting. Folks were stopping me in the airport yesterday, out at the White House today. Folks were stopping me there. People had heard about it. And so we appreciate everybody. And like I posted on Instagram, we're going to have to, look, Obama is going to cost us probably another $75,000 to $100,000 to pay for a new one. And so that's what we have to do. I have people talking about, what about all the advertising money? Bottom line, y'all, nobody budgets all of a sudden have to drop another $75,000, $100,000 on a vehicle that we only got 18 months ago. So, again, I just want to thank everybody for calling and texting. People have been commenting on all of your prayers. We certainly appreciate it. Look, equipment can be replaced. We've got to replace some of our cameras, other stuff, but you can't replace somebody's life. And so we certainly are glad that Deshaun is well. And again, and Erica, look, you understand how serious this is, the serious brain injury you suffered last year. And for him to walk out of that sprinter through the front window with just a slight concussion is indeed a miracle. And I know it's tough for you, Erica, to see that because what you went through, and you've gone through more than a year of rehab. And when you had your accident, you talked about just how painful it was. And again, there was no one else. Luckily, no one else was in the vehicle. And folks, this person did this on purpose. Unfortunately, nobody captured his license or nothing. But he literally looked at Deshaun, smiled at him, and pulled in front and slammed his brakes, causing Deshaun to have to swerve.
Roland, I will say this with relationship to Deshaun. Praise God he's still with us. Because March 15th, 2021, the 18-wheel truck that hit me, the driver did that intentionally as well. He hit my car, which is a Mercedes, thank God, German engineered tank twice from the back. And the doctor that I saw when I got back home said to me that, Erica, it was not only your faith, it was that car that saved your life. And so when people get into their cars, my boyfriend and partner was just talking to me around this, they get into their own world. And so that somebody would be so amped up in their car that they would literally weaponize their vehicle and cause undue harm to a person is completely sinister. I am grateful that my partner sent me a clip of what you shared on social media, and I saw kind of your update, but he cropped out so that I didn't see the pictures because that's still very difficult for me to see car crashes, to be very honest with you. So I stepped away when those photographs and video was being shown, but it's important for the audience to see because they need to see not just the crash, but they need to see that was an intentional act and that could have cost someone their life. What I will say with regard to Deshaun having that level of accident, my prayer is that he is granted all of the space that he needs for healing, and he is afforded all of the care that he needs, and that I'm so very glad that he's still here with us today to still testify to his life, and may he have as much grace to heal.
Reese, it's real interesting. I always got these haters out here, and they're like, he asking for money. Bottom line is here. We travel around this country covering stories nobody else covers. And the reality is, there are going to be HBCU campuses we're going to. There will be places we're going, and I'm fully transparent. Somebody just posted on YouTube, Roland, I think full car insurance will cover your van. Please don't say you're raising money to get a new van. Just say you're raising money, bro. I found that to be misleading. Viewers are smarter. No, I'm telling you exactly why we are raising money. I'm very honest. I don't sit here in front because I'm showing our viewers what their resources are going to.
Yeah, and y'all, that's what you took out of Roland's testimony, out of Deshaun's testimony, out of Erica's testimony, is Roland must be just trying to get some money. Go to hell, bitch. I'm so sick of y'all. Like take a moment and take in what's happening. Take in the lesson. Take in life that's unfolding in front of you. Instead of just always trying to jump in on some bullshit and on some petty shit. Come on, do better. Do better than that. If you don't want to give, if you ain't got it to give, don't give. But you can shut the fuck up and not give. You don't have to be loud and not give. Nobody is twisting your arms. Nobody is docking your pay. If you have it in your heart, and if you have the ability to give, then give. And see how simple that is? It's simple. But at any rate, whether you give or don't give, I just thank God for Erica, for her being here with us. I thank God for Deshaun. And I thank God for the entire Roland Martin Unfiltered family, because we are a family. This ain't CNN. This ain't Disney behind us. It ain't whoever Fox behind us. It's a family. And if you don't look out for family, that's on you. That's not on Roland. That doesn't speak to Roland's character. That speaks to your character. And if you ain't got it, you ain't got it. I understand it. But don't be a belligerent asshole about it.
And if I
And Greg, bottom line is here. Erica, go ahead. Go ahead, Erica. Go ahead.
And I just want to say, with regard to what Reese said, to tack on to what she said, it was Roland Martin Unfiltered. It was my big brother Roland. It was my sister Reese. It was Dr. Greg Carr. It was Dr. Avis Jones-Weaver. It was all of RMU staff that was cash apping me, because you don't know what the hell Deshaun is going to have gaps for. So, as Reese said, if you don't have it to give, that's cool. But the bottom line is, what Roland does, he's completely transparent about every damn monitor, all pieces of equipment, what he needs, what he's desiring to present excellence to us. And as Reese said, if you ain't got it to give, don't give it. But damn, don't use your keyboard cowardice and type something when he's doing exactly what he's been doing for several years now, which is being transparent, being very honest, laying to bear what it is. And so I'm going to make sure, the same way that Reese and Roland did, that I give, to make sure that I am acting on the law of reciprocity the same way the Roland Martin Unfiltered family did for me.
Greg Carr, take us home.
No, brother, all I can do is echo what Reese and what Erica have said. In fact, right now, here in Washington, D.C., there is a whole staff. You just got through transporting 1.5 dozen of that staff to cover Essence Fest. And it was widely covered on CNN. It was in the New York Times. I saw it all over MSNBC. No, I didn't. But at any rate, that staff that you have has a graphic that they show near the end of every show with all the ways to give. And I'm sure they have it right there. They could put it up while I'm talking, I suspect, so that you don't have to ask them to do it. And I know they will, because they are a crack staff. They're volunteers, of course. And Okay, yeah. And so all the shows on the Black Star Network, and it doesn't cost money to get launched over the top. And then all the producers who work for the Black Star Network, they're obviously volunteers. I'm trying to think of who is actually volunteering. It might be the guy with the microphone who doesn't take a salary, who does speaking engagements, and who started a whole ass network out of his mind by working for years long before he left those other engagements, whether it be CNN, whether it be TV One, with this in his mind, that this was the vision. And here we are at a watershed moment that has unfolded over the course of the last several years, including two of which was a whole ass pandemic. Now, to get to Savannah, to get to Georgia to help get the vote out, to get to Louisiana, to get all over the South, to go on location, to cover all the congressional hearings, to have people in front of cameras and streamed forever, permanently over all these platforms, and an archive that can be accessed at any time, it costs money. And so, in a minute, Roland, I hope you'll remind us of how many people you have, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook, whether it be YouTube, combined across all those platforms. And I agree with my sisters. If you don't have it, don't give. I am going to put some money on it right now as soon as we get off this, as I get on a train and head to the Mayflower Hotel, because guess what? I did not see Fred Gray interviewed on CNN. I didn't see Don Lemon in that room today. I didn't see Rachel Maddow in that room. Since you want to talk about being such a feminist, why weren't you talking to Diane Nash? I'll tell you why. Because you don't give a damn about Diane Nash. But let me tell you about Diane Nash. On the worst day of her life, it's better than the best day of your life, Rachel Maddow. And I'm not saying that because you're anybody to talk about. I'm just saying it because some of y'all think that white media is somehow the gold standard. Roland Martin, you have been and continue to be in those places where our people are. How many people wouldn't know Gary Chambers if you hadn't talked to him? How many people wouldn't know who Charles Booker? You was talking to Charles Booker before he blew up. You know what I'm saying? And who today, Brittney Griner, it's a big story now, but how many people would have taken it from the way that you took it? My bottom line, if you don't have it, guess what? Everybody who does is making it possible for everybody who doesn't to share this resource. Because last I checked, YouTube is free to us, but it costs you money to put it together. Look, man, that Roland bill should be retired by the end of this show. Please, y'all. I know you were saying wrong, but let me ask for you, brother. Please, team, sitting in that beautiful, and of course they don't charge you any rent. Wait, oh yeah, I guess they do. Put that graphic back up again. Do y'all see the Cash App? Do y'all see the PayPal? Do you see the Venmo? Do you see the Zelle? This is not the Black Star YouTube show, haters. This is the Black Star Daily Digital Network, Roland Martin Unfiltered, the flagship show. And for old folk like my mom and them was, who would write a check out in that precise machine handwriting, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Y'all do that. Let's retire this right now. It should be a new Roland bill completely paid for by the time. And I should end with this, Roland. Did you say it's a black-owned company? Let me tell you about Roland Martin. While y'all talking about this black empowerment and running out and giving your money for tennis shoes and the latest this and that and letting your master have your last dime. Roland Martin looks for black people. Go to his studio. Black art. Black people hung the lights. Black people stringed together electronics. Black people all over the walls. He done found a black company to replace it. So guess what? By the time that thing comes here, now not only should it be paid for, we ought to have another reserve $200K to pay for that. Brother Deshaun, heal, brother. And you fool that smile that maybe be watching this right now, oh, your day's coming, baby. You and that damn 18-wheeler driver that tried to do something to our sister Erica, but she's protected by something much bigger than you will ever glimpse in your miserable life. So y'all put this on it.
Well, folks, I certainly appreciate it, Greg, Reese, and Erica. Thank you so very much.
iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. To show the love.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punching! Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?